Storytelling in a box was a handheld art form in Appalachia before electricity and the many screens that we watch today. Think of a long scroll, illustrated, wound around two spools, and loaded into a decorated box with a viewing window. Then, turn the scroll, cranking the spools by hand while narrating the story unfolding inside the box. And what you have is a crankie. This weekend, the Crankie Show, Hand-Turned Tales by Magical Thinkers, presents stories of 11 artists living with serious mental illness at Barking Legs Theater, Saturday at 7:30 p.m. and Sunday at 2:30 p.m., with their cranky boxes on exhibit at the HART Gallery in June. Peggy Douglas of Southern Exposure is the writer who collected the stories and wrote the monologues for the Crankie Show. Frances McDonald of Mark Making is the show's visual art director. Peggy, Frances, thanks for joining us.
Good to be here, Ray.
Thank you, Ray. We appreciate being here.
Tell us more about this production.
Well, there's an old Appalachian art form called crankies. And what they used to do before they had television was to create an illustrated scroll that told stories. And they would wrap the scroll up on two dowels and put them in a box like a TV with a crank on the top. And they would crank their stories, usually as they sung ballads about the scenes that they had illustrated.
And Frances, talk more about the boxes.
The boxes were made from a recipe we found on the internet. Randy Fairchild, who's my partner and does a lot of work with Mark Making, constructed the boxes, and that was the beginning of his role. The fact of the matter is, once we had the illustrations, we tweaked the boxes to make sure everything worked. The participants came to the Mark Making studio and painted them, and we've rehearsed and tweaked, and please come. This should be fabulous.
And then let's talk more about the participants. First, the stories.
Well, all 11 of these storytellers are members of the AIM Center, and they're living with serious mental illnesses. So their stories kind of depict their experience through life with a mental illness and where they drew their strength and what their hope is for the future.
And then how were they also involved with the boxes?
The process varied depending on the participant, because some of them would rather illustrate their stories first, and then I could get a narrative from talking to them about their illustrations. Others wanted to tell me a story and have me write it, and then they illustrated it. So depending on what they wanted. And then I went back to them with the stories and until they were happy with it.
The participants are fabulous. There are 11 of them, each with their own unique story. What really got to me was the level of vulnerability that they showed in their storytelling and in their illustrations. It's really amazing and beautiful art. These are artists in their own right. They've been practicing making art for years under the tutelage of Judy Mogul at the AIM Center, and they're just wonderful human beings. And what got to me too was how they persisted to get these done. Some of this art is 12 inches by 12 feet, and that's different scenes that will be cranked through, but just the ability to get that done and the persistence and the craftsmanship is wonderful. And the boxes themselves that they painted are like objet d'art. They are amazing and beautiful and fun and just very heartfelt and warming.
Let's touch on some of the themes in these stories.
Well, the themes really vary. One woman told the story of just her hard childhood and how she overcame that. Another artist just has spent his whole life researching cartoons, old cartoons from the very beginning. So he actually created a cartoon that related to his life with the mental illness. One told the story of walking through Chattanooga and what that was like. So they vary quite a bit.
Well, and don't leave out, we had a couple of members who really expressed their paranormal interest in their experience with that, which I thought those were very cool.
Let's talk about the narrators.
Our top narrator, which we were so excited to get, is Ray Bassett.
Yay!
Well, thank you for considering me and for asking me. And I'm not alone.
You're not alone. We have a substitute narrator, Peggy Douglas. So Ray and I will be narrating these wonderful stories as they're cranked on stage and projected on a screen at the back of the stage so the audience can see well.
All at Barking Legs Theater.
I'll be the one cranking behind the box dressed in black with a ski mask.
And the trick is to make sure that the narratives are in sync with the images being cranked on the stage.
And for people who want to check it out, where can they go online?
They can go to the Barking Legs Theater website and look under events, and they will see on May 31st and June 1st is the Crankie Show, and they can get tickets right there.
I would add that typically for work that Peggy does, the tickets go fast. They're often sold out, so don't hesitate.
All right. Peggy, Francis, thanks so much.
Thank you, Ray.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Ray.